Since 2001, Norway has been ranked as the country with the highest development index in the world, designated as advanced in human civilization, as observed in human development reports. Additionally, the country was nominated by the UN as the best country to live in 2009. Norway has also received other accolades, such as being considered the most peaceful country in the world in 2007 according to the Global Peace Index, and in 2017, it was deemed the happiest country in the world, surpassing Denmark, which previously held the top spot. This truly is a paradise on earth. Imagine a place where the homicide rate is below 0.58 per 100,000 inhabitants. Just to give you an idea, in 2014, only 2 shots were fired throughout the entire year, and it's almost impossible to see criminals clashing with the police. In this country, there are supermarkets with smart checkouts, meaning there's no need for people to staff the registers. And if it weren't for the Norwegians, the world wouldn't have salmon sushi. One thing you'll love is the culture of this country, which I'll tell you about in a moment. Another unusual curiosity is that a penguin named Niels Olav has been granted the title of Chief Colonel of the King's Guard, and was appointed by the king himself. The country is known for having the happiest people in the world, as well as some of the wealthiest, in addition to having incredibly fascinating everyday life aspects worth sharing. Moreover, the Norwegian oil fund is worth around $1 trillion. However, the country only spends 3% of the fund per year. The reason? They are saving for future generations. The Norwegian court is so compassionate towards nightclubs that, according to the Norwegian Court of Appeals, striptease has been determined to be a form of art and therefore exempt from value-added tax. All of this that I've told you so far is just the tip of the iceberg. The best part I will tell you throughout the video. But to fully understand this, you first need to know that Norway is considered the country with the best quality of life in the world. Norwegians enjoy a high quality of life built on substantial state investment. A curiosity about Norway concerns the origin of its name, which may even lead to disagreements among etymologists. However, most of them believe that the country's name means the way north, being an adaptation from Old Norse Norveg. Initially, the country's name was Norweger, but it was later changed to what we know today. Norway is located in northern Europe, on the Scandinavian peninsula. The history of Norway is quite ancient and dates back to ancient peoples like the Vikings. Today, Norway has about 5 million inhabitants, enjoying a high standard of living, modern infrastructure, and a highly diversified economy. Norway is one of the most successful countries in the Winter Olympics. By now, you should have a good idea of what Norway is like, so let's look at how the country became so spectacular and incredible. Well, the modern history of Norway is marked by the dominion of its national territory by Denmark and Sweden. The country faced various political and military disputes with its Nordic neighbors because they wanted to conquer their autonomy. In this way, in 1905, Norway gained independence, more precisely from Sweden. Since then, Norwegian society has shown strong economic and social development. The majority of Norway's population is urban and distributed unevenly across the national territory, predominantly in areas with more favorable climatic conditions for habitation. The largest cities in terms of population in Norway are Oslo, Bergen, and Trondheim. The population growth has been maintained, especially due to immigration, which has increased substantially in recent years. The country receives many immigrants, both from more developed European countries and refugees from poorer regions of the globe. The population in Norway enjoys an extremely high standard of living. An interesting fact is that Norway has some of the world's most humane prisons, which can even be seen in prisons housing the most dangerous criminals. The focus of the country's penal system is to rehabilitate the citizen, not just punish them. And that is exactly why there is always a concern to offer them a dignified life. Norwegian cuisine. Norwegian dishes are among the richest and most admired in the world. You should try at least one of the country's typical dishes in a good restaurant. This country has a fantastic cuisine that you must try at least once in your life. A fact is that most Norwegian dishes are based on fish, and one of the main fish used has a funny name, which is the angel fish. Another commonly used meat is reindeer. Still talking about cuisine, it's always good to eat some fish with beer. Although this beverage there is quite expensive, costing about $6 a bottle. And this not only applies to drinks, as Norway has a very high tax rate. Government of Norway. The Norwegian state management is divided among the executive, legislative, and judicial branches. The form of government in Norway is a constitutional monarchy, meaning the head of state is the king and the prime minister is the head of government. The country is one of the world's most solid democracies, with Norway having a strong action in terms of international diplomacy, conducting various actions seeking to defend human rights and preserve the environment. Economy of Norway. Norway is a highly developed and industrialized nation. The local economy is quite diversified, with significant points in all economic sectors, ensuring the strength of the national currencies. The primary sector in Norway is characterized by the exploitation of oil and natural gas, fundamental elements for wealth generation in the country. Norway also has reserves of various minerals in its lands. Timber extraction and fishing activities are also prominent in the primary sector. The country is marked by industries for the benefit of natural goods, such as metallurgical and steel industries, in addition to factories for capital goods, such as machinery and equipment. For example, aluminum production is quite traditional in the country. The high-technology sector also plays a leading role in the secondary economy. The tertiary sector, on the other hand, is strong in transport and trade. Norway owns a significant part of the world's fleet of ships and boats, with maritime cargo transport being important for the country's economy. Financial institutions and commercial logistics are also highlights in the tertiary activities. Culture of Norway. Norwegian culture has strong traces of Nordic culture in general, with a great influence of the natural environment on the daily habits of the population. The country is known for its musical production, mainly focusing on heavy metal, although there are other notable rhythms such as jazz. In addition, musical dances and folk festivals clearly based on Viking culture are very common in the country. The Norwegian diet is based on meats such as salmon and cod, in addition to bread and vegetables. In the realm of sports, winter practices such as skiing and handball stand out. Traffic fines are extremely high, and driving drunk is virtually non-existent. Besides losing your license, you pay a fine based on your salary. There was the case of a millionaire heiress who paid a €30,000 fine after being caught driving under the influence. Speeds generally cannot exceed 80 to 100 kilometers per hour on highways, and within the city, they are 30 to 40 kilometers per hour. And no one drives too close to the vehicle in front, as everyone in Norway follows the rules due to the extremely high fines. The peak traffic hour is at 15:30. They do not stop for lunch break, usually eating a sandwich at their workplace, and can come home early to engage in sports or perform various services at home. Another interesting piece of information is that Norway has been considered the best place on the planet for a woman to be a mother, based on the analysis of various important factors such as maternal and infant mortality rates, as well as economic situations and the level of education. Norwegians are extremely punctual. Being 5 minutes late to a dinner invitation is tolerable, but 10 minutes is considered rude. In business meetings, schedules are strictly adhered to, both for starting and ending, which is a complaint of Norwegian executives regarding business meetings. Oslo, the capital, is the safest city one can imagine. Even if someone walks while talking on the phone or just using it, it is super safe. There is no feeling of insecurity that is felt in other countries. This is considered the most positive point about Norway. Walking alone on the street at 11 p.m. and being certain that you will not be mugged. The downside is that Norway is one of the countries with one of the highest costs of living in Europe. To give you an idea of how public safety in Norway operates, in 2014, for example, the police only fired 2 shots throughout the entire year, and no one was injured. From 2002 to 2014, 2 people died in confrontations with the police, a reality quite different from other countries. In restaurants, you can ask for tap water and it is not charged for. In Norway, you can drink tap water anywhere. The concept of buying bottled water, as in other countries, does not exist. More than just a curiosity, one exemplary point is that Norwegian society is one of the most advanced in terms of gender equality, both in economic and social aspects. This has become a cultural aspect, as it has been passed among the people of the country, reducing sexism. In elevators, people do not greet each other, and this is normal for Norwegians. They are not rude, don't think that. Simply, spontaneity and human warmth that exist in other countries, typical in a tropical country, are not the norm for them. Norwegians dress very simply. and it is evident that they are not as consumeristic in terms of clothing. There is a law advocating for equality, and that no one should think they are superior to another. Here, feeling superior is frowned upon in any form. Norway is one of the countries that contributes the most to the United Nations, even helping in internationally known missions, such as in Afghanistan and Kosovo. In Norway, there are cities that can go 2 months without seeing sunlight, a phenomenon known as the polar night, a period of days, and sometimes even months, where the Earth's polar regions are completely in darkness. This occurs due to the tilt of the Earth's axis, and the closer to the poles, the longer the period without sunlight. As a country that is significant in various aspects, it has managed to establish and found several organizations, such as the United Nations, the Nordic Council, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, and the Council of Europe, COE. Additionally, Norway participates in several other organizations such as the European Economic Area, the World Trade Organization, WTO, and the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD. In Norway, it is common to leave babies outside when they need to sleep. For example, if you are going to a restaurant, there will usually be baby carriages outside with babies sleeping in them. This is normal in most Nordic countries. When babies are at preschool and it's nap time, it is normal to see many strollers outside. And no, they are not cold, because they are always wrapped up in strollers with plenty of clothes. If you liked the video, subscribe to the channel, leave your like and your comment. See you in the next video.